Good day, everyone. Welcome to Malik Podcast. Educate, enlighten, and empower yourself. Listen to motivating and empowering speakers and transform yourself from dreamer to doer, imaginary to visionary, panicker to planner, runner to winner. Please like and subscribe now, Malik Podcast. Today we'll be discussing about residential house estimates. One of the most pivotal, critical thing in construction is to correctly estimate, correctly do the costing of the house or any project, whether it is a residential house, townhouse, or commercial high-rise buildings, or civil projects like bridges and roads, railway tracks, you name it. The most important thing is you get the quantities correct, do the bill of quantities correct, and then rate each and every item correctly. So we'll be discussing a brief overview of rate analysis using PLMS method: plant, labor, material, and other services and services which we need to complete any project. You will be surprised to know that more than 3,000 companies or builders go broke every year. See, nearly 3,000 Australian building companies go broke in the past year. So this is common. Every year, 3 or more thousand companies going broke. What is the main reason? One of the main reasons is incorrect, erroneous estimating, wrong quantity takeoffs. That's one of the main reasons. The other reasons are also, this is not the exhausted list. The other reasons is poor financial management, poor project management, poor site supervision, poor quality, and poor planning, poor scheduling, poor execution, poor progress of the project in terms of achieving milestones every week. So there are other reasons as well, but one of the main, first and foremost reasons is poor estimating, wrong estimating. So in the previous classes, we discussed how we do the takeoffs, do the bill of quantities. So we want to do the rate analysis in this one. How do we rate each and every item? This is a brief overview of the estimate spreadsheet of any residential house, or for that matter, any project. But in this scenario, we are discussing a residential house. So you have prelims. The prelims will consist of, the breakdown of prelims will be like establishing fencing and shed, the site amenities, site services like sheds, fencing, temporary water and sewer connections, and commissioning. And the other stuffs, other costs involved in the prelims is the fuel, your car and fuel allowance, electricity, water charges, the tools you'll be using for this project. There will be miscellaneous items, equipment, toilet hire, site survey. You pay roughly you pay $1,000 more or less to site surveys, stat inspections, project risk. The site supervisor time, we are allowing like 20% of his time on one project. If your site supervisor salary is $70,000 per annum, he will be spending 20% of his time on a project. For example, he's given 5 projects to manage. Generally, the 5 to 10 projects a supervisor or construction manager will have to manage. Then you have a site labor who will be working, say, 1 or 2 days a month to do the cleanup and maintenance work, and that's another $3,000 for a project. So this will be your subtotal for prelim costs, and then you bring that here in this summary of the item description. Prelims, say 35 grand. Site establishment, you put some money. You have to do first principles of calculation to come to this figure. We'll come to the rate analysis in a few minutes. Site allowance, you allow some money. Contingency, generally if the project cost is say $300,000 or $500,000 or more or less, you want to put some money as in contingency. That generally 2% or 5% contingency, that should cover all human errors and other unexpected expenses, surprises, heat off, rain off, some other costs which you didn't allow in the estimate, and because you're living in a real world, practical world, things do happen and we come across such things, and that is the cost. So that contingency will cover that. Architectural drawings, you put some money to, you may give $2 grand or more or less to architect to do all the architectural drawings, engineering drawings. Soil report, another $1 grand there. Energy report, building permits, insurances, $5 grand. Another miscellaneous and unexpected expense, again $2 grand. So all up, this is your prelim PM cost, which is around $60,000. Now coming to the actual BOQ, I'll just give you a summary of the breakdown of the BOQ. There will be more than 24 sub-trades involved in completing a project, starting from site cut, site leveling, scraping, cleaning, then you do underground plumbing, underground electrical works, then you do concrete slabs, you do timber wall frames, then windows go along with the timber frames, wall frames, then you do roofing, then you come to lockup works, roughing of plumbing and electrical, sleeves, wirings, then you do heating, cooling, insulation, brickworks, external brickworks, or masonry work, or weatherboard, whatever the client wants. Then you do poly rendering, fascia and gutter, scaffolding, front and garage doors, insulation, plastering, fixing, kitchen, painting, flooring, tiles, final fit off of electrical and plumbing works, and staircase if it is a townhouse double story. Then you do your carpet and other external works like landscaping, concrete driveway, and other backyard concrete paving or tree plantations if the client wants that. The stages of payment you will discuss with your client will be more or less just a tentative idea, just a rough idea how they're gonna be. So you take deposit 5%. If the project is $500,000 or more or less, you take 5% of the total cost of the tender as deposit to mobilize the site movement. Then the base stage payment, when you have done your footings and foundation slab, will be 20%. Frame, your timber frame and your roof, 25%. Lockup, 20%. Fixing. So this is only tentative. This can change. It depends upon your negotiations with the client. Okay, and you can take any master builder standard contract or HIA contract, and the builder and the client can enter into a legal formal agreement. The legal written, signed and sealed agreements are very important, because if tomorrow if there is any dispute and if you have to go legal, then that agreement will be the base of your dispute resolution. There will be steps of dispute resolution, like friendly negotiation. You don't want to go straight to the court. First, you try to do a friendly negotiation with the builder. Builder and client can organize friendly negotiations, and then they can go to mediation and then arbitration, and finally they can go litigation. But you want to try as much as possible to resolve the disputes in a nice and friendly manner. Let's go to, how we have done the takeoff. Once you do the takeoff of each and every item, then you can rate, you get the unit of measurement, can be meters, square meters, or numbers, counts, or cubic meter if it is volume. You got the quantity with the software, and then you can rate each and every item, and you can get the line total. For example, if you have, for example, in this case, wall framing, you did the takeoff using software, estimating software, like I use PlanSwift, you can use BuildSoft, you can use BuildExact, there's so many of them. Once you got this quantity, you put the rate. This rate is supply and install. So 207.96 square meter of wall framing times $60, supply and install, the line total is 12 grand, 12.478. So that's how you link it, and you got the total. Here you have plugged in the number, supply and install number. But how do you get to this number? That is what we want to discuss mainly in today's class. That would be rate analysis. The rate analysis is so very important, it's so very pivotal and critical for every construction company. Because if you get this right, then you have the costing, the budget, the finance is under your control. If you miss any of these things, then your estimate is wrong, and end of the day, instead of making money, you're going to be losing money. It can make or break you. This is one of the reasons I told you why companies, more than 3,000 companies go broke every year. The number can be more or less. So coming to the rate analysis, which is very critical, I would say we sum up this in this abbreviation, PLMS, or you can say, to remember in an easy way, you can say palm tree. You can remember palm tree, yeah? Palm tree. So just A is silent here, and you'll say palm tree. So palm trees, what is palm trees? First is the plant and equipment which is required to complete this job. For example, excavators, what plants, what machineries, what equipments you need to complete to build a house. You may need excavators, cranes, mobile cranes, or static cranes, concrete pumps. You need access equipment like scissor lift. You need tips and trucks, and many more things. And you need some power tools. So all that you have to calculate, make a list of plant and equipment which you may need to complete this project. And then how many days do you need? For example, excavator, dry hire, wet hire. Generally excavators are like say $200 per hour. If it is big one like 10 tonner. So if you're using 8 hours, $200, that's 8 times 200. That's $1,600 per day. 8 hours times day. So if you need an excavator for 2 days, that's again, you multiply that 1,600 times 2. That's $3,200. Then they'll charge you for float, for bringing the excavator from the yard to the side. That's another $500 or $200. Depends on the subby. Every subby is different. The prices, the rates are just tentative. They're not exact. For exact rates, you have to contact the suppliers. Okay, so that will be actually $3,400, let's say, for 2-day hire. Labor. What labor do you need? For example, if you're doing this concrete slab, you need labor. In the excavation, you need 2 labor, 8 hours, at the rate of say $50. And for doing preparation of sand, poly, you may need 4 labor times 8 hours times $50. and maybe you need 1 day. That will be equal to 4 labor times 8 times 50. That's $1,600 for labor. So how many days do you need? You need 1 day for sand, and 1 day for boxing, 1 day for placing steel, that's 3 days, and 1 day for pouring, so 4 days. So generally, the saying for residential slabs goes, it takes 4 to pour. That's a nice saying. I love that. I like this phrase. It takes 4 to pour. All right. So you need 4 men to prep and pour for 4 days. So that's how much? You're talking 1,600 times 4 days. So that's $6,400 just in labor. Then you have sand, material cost. How much is sand? How much is reinforcement? Say, for example, if you're having, if the area, in this case, how much is the area? Let's say the area is 200 divide 14.4. That's 14 mesh you need. So you have to increase 15% for overlapping. So that will be 14 times 1.15. So you need 16 mesh. Each mesh SL92 maybe $200. So that's $3,200, $3,220 just for the mesh. Then you need trench mesh. You need, say, for example, if there's 200 linear meter of edge footing and internal footing all up, and you need that much. So trench meshes are like $15 per linear meter. So that's 300. Then you need some accessories that will be like your bar chase and other stuff. Okay, so that will be $4. Generally, that will be $4 times area. $800 just in accessories. So all this will build up. And so you need concrete. How much concrete do you need? So there's if it's 200 square meter area times 0.1, that's 20 cubic meter, and $200 per cubic meter, 32 MPa concrete. That is 4,000 in the slab. Then you have concrete in beams, internal and external beams. Let's say you have 200 linear meter all up. So that is 200 linear meter times, let's say it is 0.4 meter wide and 0.5 meter deep. That's the concrete going in the footings. That's $200 again. So you just copy this formula here. That's $800 in footings. Then you want to take some miscellaneous contingency. That's very important, because sometimes you do over excavate the footings, or there is footing collapse. All this will take extra concrete. Let's say you put another, generally 5% or 10% contingency. So 5% of 60 will be, let's say we'll put 10%, 6 cubic meter, just to be on the safe side. So that's another $1,200 for contingency in concrete, extra concrete. Then pump. Pump is generally, if you're taking boom pump, that will be $240 per hour. So if you have 8-hour pump, including flow, 240 times 8. Let's say 8 hours times 240. That's $2,000 almost, 1920 for pump. So volume pumped. So the volume pumped is this plus this plus this. So you got the 6, and they charge extra $10 per cubic meter pump. So for finishing, we already include the finishing labor in this 4 to pour. Okay, our labor was around 6,400. So let's say the labor was 6,400. So this is how you calculate using rate analysis. You're coming to almost, we haven't allowed blinding. So let's say there's no blinding, or if there's blinding, if you want to put blinding, you can put blinding. Bedding sand, generally poly will be like square meter. Poly will be like $4, and sand, there'll be bedding sand. Generally you will put sand in cubic meter. So if it is a 200 square meter area, times sand will be 0.05, 50 mil, and 10 cubic meter sand you need, and it is around $70 a cubic or ton. So that's for the sand. Okay, so now you got the price for this concrete slab. Using, you have done your first principles of estimating to estimate this concrete slab. So this is how you do estimating using rate analysis palm tree method. Okay, so don't forget this palm tree method. This is very pivotal, very crucial, very important. If you are a builder, if you are an estimator, quantity surveyor, if you are a construction company guy, project manager, construction manager, supervisor, you must know this method, palm tree method of rate analysis, to do correct estimating or costing of each and every subtrade item. Then you just sum up all the subtrade items to get the final cost of the project, which we will discuss in another video, because this will be a very lengthy lecture. So that I'll leave it for another class. For this one, I hope you have understood the rate analysis, which is the base, very important, the backbone in estimating and costing any project. So bye for now. Please like and subscribe Malik Podcast to listen, to learn more on quantity surveying, estimating, and other motivating and empowering lectures. Thank you so much. God bless.